haven't played GTA since 4? Or no, maybe Vice City was the last time I played GTA.
I never played any of the older ones. That's also because I really didn't get an actual console until I got a used 360. Oh my gosh, when was that? That was so many years ago. When did I get that? I don't know. A long time ago.
Which version of the game?
Which version?
GTA.
Oh, the first one I started off on was 5.
5. Okay.
So when it first came out, which would have been on the 360 before the Xbox One came out.
Has it been that long since there's been a new GTA?
Since 2013 or 2015, yeah.
Oh my god.
2012.
And it's still not coming out for another year.
Yeah, no, they delayed it, but then like 3 days later, after they announced the delayment, released a second trailer because it's already been over a year since the first initial trailer came out.
That's insane.
I'm not sure I agree with them. I don't know if I agree that it was a delay. I mean, I know they said December 2025 originally, but like they've known for a bit that it was going to be like it just got announced, but they've known. There's no way they didn't know at this point.
That's crazy.
Because they have a release date now. It's May 28th.
There's a release date until tomorrow, and then it's May 28th, 2027.
Well, they didn't have a release date
see,
before.
I feel like
just
a holiday release would still have been better than releasing it in like late spring, early summer, like middle of the year.
Maybe
because I feel like game sales improve better when it's a holiday release.
Maybe, but I don't think it personally matters. That's GTA 6. Do you know how long we've been waiting for GTA 6 at this point?
Almost as long as we've been waiting for the next episode of Capes, Cows, and Conversations, which we're back. We're back. And we're here to talk about Thunderbolts. I mean the New Avengers. If you don't mind, take a minute to like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell, leave us a comment in the comments, click the thumbs up, all the different things that you can do to interact with us. We usually have some kind of poll inside the app where you can answer questions and join along in the conversation, and we would love to have that. And with that, we saw what we thought was Thunderbolts.
I'm still calling it Thunderbolts.
Still calling it Thunderbolts.
I feel like that's a better
I'm not because it
title
has
for them than it does the New Avengers.
It has nothing to do with the Thunderbolts, though. That's why I'm not calling it that.
What's funny is, to me, I thought Thunderbolts was going to have some kind of ridiculous tie back to Ross. Because his name is Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. And I thought that's what it was going to be. So then when they made it the soccer team, oh, by the way, we're going to spoil this movie. So if you do not want to hear spoilers, you may want to come back to this episode after you've seen it. I know that this is the first time in 10 years that we didn't go on opening night. At least one of us didn't go on opening night. And it was hard to get tickets and be able to kind of sit together and enjoy it. Like I found the worst tickets possible, I think, for us to go to this movie.
It wasn't a bad spot.
It wasn't bad, but I'm so picky. I want to be in the middle row, in the middle seats, in the theater. And that's where we always are. Like, you've been to movies with me. That's where we always are.
I try to do myself as well. Anytime I go, either
Except for Godzilla -1.
Oh God, was that all the way up in the front?
Oh, it's all the way in the back.
Back? I'm fine with being all the way in the back.
I fell asleep
because that gives me like more full screen. Yes, it's a little bit smaller because it's not, just right in the middle of the theater, but it was still nice.
It was so quiet.
Yeah. Nevertheless, we were a little bit delayed coming out on this one, but I thought we were going to see some kind of tie to Thunderbolt Ross. And so when they made it the soccer team, I was just like, what in the world are we doing here?
No,
what are we doing?
I think it was always the soccer team. What they cut was the reaction from Winter Soldier from Bucky, where he's like, we can't call ourselves that. Like, that was in the trailer. And then when they said the line in the movie, they completely cut his reaction.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he said it.
No,
but I don't think he said why.
No, he didn't say we can't call ourselves that. He just was like, "What is that? What? And they're like, "It's
I'll have to go back and watch it again now because I think he said we can't call ourselves that, but he didn't explain why they couldn't call themselves that.
He never said it in the movie.
Only go back and watch it and see.
I hate when movie directors do that.
I believe that there was a line about it. I think he was going to be like, "We can't call ourselves that," and he's like, "Why?" It's because the president turned into the Red Hulk. Like, obviously, we can't call ourselves that. Like, that's insane.
That would have been so much better if they kept that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one joke over another.
They had a reference. They had one small reference to the president, and that was it. Tiny reference.
I like that it didn't overtake the film with references, though. I like that it was enough to be like, hey, this is a few months later, but, we're not, like, going to deal with it too much because it wasn't that big a deal.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal.
Brave New World really wasn't that big a deal.
Brave New World was not the movie, but the implications of the movie, the president becoming a Red Hulk is a big deal.
Because that's a secret that he's kept for...
an elected official being put in a island vault of bad guys out in the middle of the ocean is a big deal.
He didn't know he was going to turn to Red Hulk, though. It was an accident.
He did know because
he asked for pills to help with his heart problem.
Yeah,
and then Samuel Stern made the pills gamma radiated. And then gave it to him without telling him that he gamma radiated it, with the whole purpose of turning him into Red Hulk without telling him, so he could cause him to go into a rampage.
Oh,
yeah. I mean that is the case. Yes.
So he didn't know, and that's why I don't think it's that big of a deal. Whereas, like, if he had planned to be the Red Hulk, which I think was in the script at one point, but they changed that, so it's completely different. And it's not that big a deal.
All that aside. Also, this isn't about Brave New World.
I was going to say Red Hulk was not even considered for this movie.
Yeah. All that aside, because this isn't about Brave New World, it still felt like there should have been more reference. It's been a Marvel problem in a lot of movies and shows is that there's generally not enough referencing what happened. And that's usually one of our complaints is like, this happened, like Tiamat coming out of the ocean happens and we don't address it for 6 straight movies.
2 years.
That doesn't
in canon, it took 2 years to address it by the government.
Didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
And that is again, the president of the United States, the single most powerful person politically in the world, becomes a Red Hulk, and we're like, oh yeah, the president became a Red Hulk. Okay, move on.
Well, yeah, again, I think that's how you would treat it at this point, though. I mean, with how many crazy things have happened in the MCU, at this point, when you say, oh, the president turned into a Hulk, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah. Because that's how many crazy things happen every other week. I mean, the 2 things that I'm like, why haven't we addressed this? There was an alien invasion over London twice. You had the celestial being come down and take the Eternals out of Earth. And then you had a second invasion with Secret Invasion, still hasn't been addressed to this day.
Yeah, they're acting like Secret Invasion didn't happen.
Well, that's weird, but all the characters in that show that died are permanently dead. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could retcon it. You kind of can't retcon it. At the same time, you don't want to bring any attention to it.
Well, I thought Secret Invasion was like
I love Secret Invasion.
Canon.
I love Secret Invasion, by the way.
I might be the only person in the world
who liked it, but I liked it.
I hate it for its ending.
Why?
Because it just didn't lead into anything that interesting. And also Gaia being the person to save the day at the end was not that interesting.
I loved that Gaia saved it at the end.
I didn't even like Gaia.
I did.
She was fine, I guess.
I mean, it's Daenerys Targaryen, so...
See, that's kind of my problem is that it felt like they got her because she was Daenerys Targaryen, but it felt like she really didn't try or they didn't tell her to do anything that great in the show.
I thought she was great. I love the show.
I thought Ben Mendelsohn was great in the show.
He's always been... I mean, he's great in everything he's been in.
Yeah, he's great in Star Wars, too.
Who?
Ben Mendelsohn.
Who's that?
What?
He's been in Star Wars.
What?
He's also in
I've watched so many Star Wars projects. I
You don't remember? I think he's in Rogue One.
What is Star Waste?
Oh my gosh. Anyway, Ben Mendelsohn.
I'm not that kind of nerd. This is not that kind of show.
It was a week ago.
You got that show a week ago. That's over.
No, it's not over.
Yeah, it's done.
We're gonna come back to it eventually.
We'll see.
We're also gonna do Alien and Predator soon too. Anyway, moving on. Ben Mendelsohn was great in it, but I didn't. Other than that, that show just did not lead into anything interesting. And obviously, Armor Wars is probably on the cutting board, which is supposed to directly deal with it. So,
well,
wasn't that the point of the Marvels though?
No,
was
the Marvels didn't even
invasion.
No, they didn't even.
It didn't address Secret Invasion.
They were never going to. That wasn't even an idea. They had their own thing planned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it addressed Samuel L. Jackson, but it didn't address Secret Invasion, which is weird.
Well, yeah, like Sam Jackson doesn't even go, oh, well, by the way,
there's a whole bunch of aliens on Earth.
Yeah, and that guy,
isn't he on vacation somewhere
for 10 movies or something.
But he just,
15 years vacation.
He doesn't even tell Captain Marvel. He's not even oh, hey, by the way, Talos is dead. He's just oh, that just happened. It's just.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. I think they're trying to not address it in hopes that you forget about it, and even saying, hey, Maria Hill is back, bringing her back makes you go, wait, didn't something happen in Secret Invasion? And they don't want you to do that. They want you to pretend
that's why I'm she's dead.
Happened.
She's never coming back because they killed her in a show that they don't want to talk about.
Right, because if they brought her back, then you would have to talk about the show.
I guess
and
it's
they don't want to do that.
I already kind of just forget that Secret Invasion exists every now and then. It's
actually really good though.
It's okay.
It's 100% good.
This is better.
Okay. So New Avengers.
So on this though, but on that same thing, right? This movie also doesn't address Hawkeye's ending, because in Black Widow, this is a thing. In Black Widow.
Do you want to take a break and let him run on about this thing that did not matter whatsoever?
This should have mattered.
This should matter.
We'll come back to you. We'll come back to after you finish. We're going to take a break.
That's not the point. Oh my God. That's not the point. The reason this matters is in Black Widow, Dreyfus comes up to her, or whatever, Valentina comes up to her and was like, I can hire you for this, and your first mission is to kill Clint Barton, and this is who killed your sister, right? I'm not done. That is how she gets set up. That's how she gets set up for Thunderbolts.
Great.
In Hawkeye, she goes to kill Clint. Why did she need Clint dead? Why did Valentina need Clint dead? What was the purpose of that? That never gets brought up here.
It doesn't matter.
And then the same thing, U.S. Agent. You have no idea what happened between the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and this. He's just been hired by Valentina.
You got married, got a girl pregnant, had a kid.
Nope, that was all in Falcon. That was all in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
No.
Yes, it was. He got
not that I remember.
Yes, he had a kid in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, but that was the whole point of his little moment with Bob.
Oh my God.
Was to show you that all he could do was look at how he ruined his own life, and it distracted him from his wife and kid until they left him. That's what happened between Falcon and Winter Soldier and Thunderbolts. He sat on a couch and looked at a phone and all the bad articles about him and what a horrible person he was. And that's what happened. He ruined his own life being self-absorbed in that crap instead of finding a way to recover.
But then on to Ghost. What's she been doing since Ant-Man?
I would like to see Ghost, what she did after Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It doesn't matter.
The whole reason
she's not a hero.
The whole reason Scott got trapped in the quantum realm and had to found out about time travel is because he was trying to save Ghost. What happened between that point in time and this movie? That is 3 or 4 years. We have no idea what happened to him.
Who cares?
That's crazy.
That would be over.
It'd be 7 years, wouldn't it? Because Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Because you have to do Infinity War and then Endgame, which is 5 years after Infinity War,
and then an extra 2 to 3 years. Yeah. So it's 7 or 8 years.
But again, it's Ghost, and nobody cares.
I care.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
I would have liked to care about Taskmaster if I didn't get rid of her within the first 10 minutes.
Just because you didn't see Black Widow. Okay. If you saw Black Widow, you wouldn't care about Taskmaster either.
Oh. Okay.
Yes,
I mean,
you would.
no, you wouldn't.
Yes, you would.
No, you wouldn't.
It depends on how you feel about the film when you walk out of it.
Black Widow is a great movie, by the way. But also not
Movie, but you shouldn't care about Taskmaster.
You shouldn't. No,
Okay.
You shouldn't. It's not necessary for the sake of Thunderbolts. It's a great movie. It does involve two characters from Thunderbolts, but it's not necessary.
We actually are going to get into Taskmaster.
Oh my god.
Taxmaster? This is Cameron's ad for taxact.com.
Taxmaster.
He needs a taxmaster because he didn't do his taxes on time.
Okay, we did our taxes. It's fine. We're not evading the government, I promise.
I know, because I did your taxes.
Anyway, Taskmaster, we're going to talk about her more because she actually had a bigger role to play in this movie before the newer writer came in.
And unloaded the extra character that didn't need to be there.
Well, actually, I think she would have made a great addition because she had a plot line where because of all the experimenting that happened to her, she had short-term memory loss. And so every time that she would like reset, she would be reset to the moment where she was told she had to kill John Walker. And so she would try to kill John and they'd have to remind her that she's working with them, not against them.
You see, and this is where I'm okay.
I feel like that would be problematic and complicated.
Well,
I think it's funny.
This is where I'm glad it didn't make it into the movie because everyone I've talked to since we watched it, when I talk about the movie, I'm telling them this one was actually serious. It is a superhero movie, but it's less superhero and less Marvel being funny, haha, and actually tackling something somewhat serious. And if you add that in there, yeah, it would be funny and jokey and ha ha ha, but I think it would have actually detracted from the movie completely.
Maybe. But I mean, they also were originally going to set up for like a Taskmaster, like she was supposed to go do something else at the end.
I don't care.
By killing her off, I feel like you've wasted some potential.
See, I like the idea of Taskmaster, but at the same time, I feel like that should have been done before Black Widow, like with Captain America and whatnot.
In its timeline, they just didn't do anything with a character that could have been that they could have.
Because wouldn't have Taskmaster been on like Hydra or something?
Well, the thing is, the Taskmaster leads a group of mercenaries, and originally in the comics. And he is a mutant, so they cut a lot of the stuff that Taskmaster actually does out of her characterization by changing so much with Black Widow. So a lot of the intrigue and a lot of the interest is just not there, which is why a lot of people are complaining. Like, he has a mutant ability. It's photographic.
And she has the same ability.
No.
Yes, she does, because she uses it in Black Widow. She actually bounces between the fighting styles of the different people.
She doesn't have the mutant ability. It's an AI in her helmet that makes her
She has the ability to do other people's fighting styles.
Right, but it's not
mimic them and remember them forever.
It's not the same, and it's actually a weakness because if you damage the helmet, then she doesn't have the ability anymore.
But they didn't actually say that in the movie.
They did. That's yes. If the technology in her suit gets damaged, she can't do it anymore.
Well, they didn't say that in the movie, though.
But
like that's not spelled out in the movie.
You don't. It doesn't need to be. If you destroy the tech that tells her how to do the things that she's doing, then she can't do it. That's how that works. Your body can't just make up for an ability that
this
isn't
is
there
why
anymore.
I feel like it's still the same thing where Tony was able to do
I mean, it's not the same thing.
Talking about Civil War?
Yes.
Where he had the AI read Captain America's moves and respond for, like, actually move the suit for him.
I feel like that's essentially the same thing.
It is similar, except that it made her body move because I think it was implanted. It wasn't the helmet.
It was basically if an EMP went off, she'd lose that ability completely. Or if someone surgically removed it from her spine, could not do it anymore.
It was part of her body.
But it wouldn't matter. It's not. It is a mutant ability. Taking that away means that if you now have more weaknesses for the character that wasn't originally there.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Also, Taskmaster has a great rivalry with Deadpool in the comics because Taskmaster can't replicate Deadpool's abilities at all.
Is it because Deadpool is just like completely random?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is literally why. Deadpool is so random and would rather take the bullets because of his healing factor. Same thing with Moon Knight. Moon Knight, he will not replicate Moon Knight's abilities, any of his fighting styles, because Moon Knight would rather run up and take the bullet or the punch or the stab wound. And he just would rather not replicate that so that he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it was that big of a deal. I don't think it's a big deal to take Taskmaster out. It didn't even pack an emotional punch when you recognize that Elena knew Taskmaster the whole time. There was no emotional punch there. She just was.
I felt it for like 2 seconds. And then I was like,
even Elena didn't show any real care. Like, you knew her? Like, yes, I knew her.
My only oh my goodness. My only reaction was, oh, that's why Taskmaster wasn't in any of the newest trailers.
And that's why they took the 5-star and made it, or the 6-star and made it a 5-star.
I also don't like how quick it happens. I don't know. For me, that's just it.
I mean, I feel like that kind of matches with like almost any other like fighting scenes we've.
Well, so it comes off because someone was like, when I was reading through Reddit, someone was like, oh, well, it's to show that all the characters are expendable. And I was like, well, nobody else dies. One character dies. So it's not for that. It feels more like it was for shock value and just to be like Marvel going, hey, we understand that you guys hated this character for the most part, so we're just wiping her from the board.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think one thing that's missed here, I don't agree with you that you needed to see Hawkeye and all of that crap, but I think that one thing is missed is that Valentina is actually, in the comics, Madam Hydra, right?
I think
and they're not really taking that into account here.
I think the thing was their reference to her German past was the shame moment when she gets into the shame room.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
that's it.
They never are following up on the fact that she really is more important comically than she is in the movies. Like, she doesn't seem all that important. She kind of seems like what they did with Sharon Carter, where we're going to make you sound like a really bad guy, but at the end of the day, you're a try-hard bad guy.
I thought Sharon Carter was going to be in this movie.
It would have made sense.
Right? It
would have made sense, but instead they're both kind of just try-hard bad guys. They're not really bad guys.
That's why I'm like, why did they, so here's the weird part, right? Zemo's not in this movie.
He's not. He was originally considered for the movie, and then they backed it out because they didn't feel like he really fit the team.
Which makes no sense since he was on a version of the team.
Well, for the movie they were trying to make, he didn't fit the team, but he was originally considered for the movie.
I don't think Zemo would have fit in well.
Well, he would have been the leader, not Bucky. But so Zemo's not in this movie, which feels weird, just in general. It just feels weird for me. They replaced, because I feel like Sharon Carter would have made sense as the underling to Valentina. But she's not.
She's supposed to be much bigger than that. If you remember Falcon and Winter Soldier.
No, I know, but it feels like those two would have been teaming up for this movie. Like, it would have made sense. But then, and the person that they put in that role, Mel, is Songbird from the comics. And they did nothing with that character. She's just there.
She exists.
She exists. She's just there to be basically.
And they do that a lot. They put people in with their names. Mm-hmm. And they never follow up on what becomes of them in the future.
She basically played that role of the woman that was in the U.S. government in Brave New World that like would talk to Sam.
Yeah.
It was just like, why are you here? You didn't actually contribute to anything. You're just kind of.
And that's another one. Yeah. And it's kind of like, it's like in Spider-Man when they called out Miles' uncle, but you're never going to follow up on him being.
Except for
Prowler.
Well, but I think that's more of a Sony thing than it is a Marvel thing.
But I'm saying that movie is considered part of the MCU and part of the, and, you know, they're not going to follow up on him being Prowler.
How about Scorpion from the end of that movie?
Scorpion
literally goes up to Vulture and is like, "Hey, you know who Spider-Man is? Well, can you tell me? I want to know so I could."
Right, never going to follow up on that. I mean, there's a lot of characters that they name drop, but they never follow up on who they are.
Yeah.
They literally put the girl in Spider-Man with with the Gwen Stacy backpack, the Spider Gwen backpack. She's in the very end of Homecoming,
Endgame.
I think.
Endgame.
Oh, maybe it's Endgame.
But it was a reference. It was never meant to be the.
But I mean, it's just another it was an Easter egg that they're never gonna follow up on.
I was gonna say, why even like put in ideas or whatever if they're just not even gonna follow through with it?
Because some
It gets fans
ideas
excited.
Well, some ideas work out better than others, and sometimes scripts change, and sometimes characters just don't fit the movie that you're making. So,
And that's what happened with Zemo. The idea was Zemo was going to come in to the Thunderbolts, and then
I'm actually glad that Zemo
I don't really
didn't get put in Thunderbolts.
someone did say that there should be a movie that is, or a movie or a TV show that is Thunderbolts versus, or the New Avengers with a Z versus the Avengers, and it's a legal courtroom battle where She-Hulk is defending
Against Charlie Cox.
is defending the Avengers versus Charlie Cox on the Avengers.
That would be so stupid.
And it's a copyright.
I still feel like the New Avengers should go to Sam Wilson, since he did agree at the end of Brave New World to make a new Avengers team.
He owns the copyright, so we'll see if they actually follow up on that. I don't think they're going to have a chance to with Doomsday, unless it's kind of a one-off. Like,
so
I got the title.
The post-credit scene was filmed 4 weeks ago.
I know.
And inserted into the film 4 weeks ago.
By the Russos.
Yes.
The first or second one?
No, the second one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is all Doomsday setup. That is not. Basically, if you remember the Captain Marvel post-credit scene, where it feels like it should just be in Endgame as a scene, this would be that. This is probably going to be in the movie, or should be in the movie, but probably won't be in the movie.
I know we watched Captain Marvel, but I don't remember.
She shows up into the compound and she's like, "Where's Fury?" And everybody's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, and then that scene is supposed to take
I guess
place
I just
before
really
she
didn't
appears
like
in
Captain
space.
Marvel.
It was awesome. Captain Marvel was so good.
It was okay. It was mid at best.
You're mid.
You're mid.
At best.
Anyway, back to this movie. I actually have a problem with that cutscene. I don't think Sam would just dismiss Bucky like that and then sue his new team for a title. That just seems so petty and stupid and out of character.
I don't know about Sam and Bucky even fighting at this point. After Captain America and the Winter Soldier,
I feel like he would just indoctrinate them, and he would be the Captain America of that team. Like, why not? I mean, they're all specialized in some way.
I think how that really would have gone, and I'm not joking, the way that really would have gone is Sam would have gone to Bucky and been like, "All right, man, you can be the Avengers. You can be the Avengers JV." I really do. Like, he totally would mess with him. Like, you can be the JV squad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way they talk to each other. That would make way more sense than New Avengers. It would be Avengers JV.
He's just like, hey, yeah, you can get the bunk underneath the compound. We'll just be up here.
Right. You guys get the basement.
So, I know you said the last time I brought up Red Guardian. I like the actor.
He sucks so bad.
He is still a funny character, just like he was in What If, which I know is a different voice actor.
He was
the same?
actor.
Oh.
And he still sucks.
He's better here. He's better. I will say
he is still so funny and such a great character.
He was more tolerable in Thunderbolts than he has been in pretty much any other Marvel.
I think you're negating like two scenes where he.
I said he was tolerable.
Yeah, but tolerable still means he's annoying.
He's still stupid. The whole limo service is stupid. Everything he does is stupid. He's still dumb.
The two major scenes he needed to be a big part of, he is a big part of in a good way.
He's a huge part in walking down the street trying to get Yelena to turn around and talk to him and let her know that he loves her. That was a very good scene.
I don't like that scene ends with, but I guess she would joke about it, but it's just, I don't like that it ends with, that was very good. Like it just seemed very out of place in the conversation at the end.
I didn't think so. I thought it fit. I thought the whole conversation, that's probably the best set of script that he's ever done in a Marvel movie. He's horrible. The writing for the character is horrible. I said this before, I think when we were talking about the trailer, like, they make him dumb. Yeah. Like, his whole limo service and all that crap is dumb. Everything he does is dumb. But I think in the comics, like, he is a great foil for Captain America, and he's not stupid. But the way the writers and David Harbour choose to play him, like, if I was David Harbour, I'd be like, don't make my character stupid. Like, he's supposed to be Russian Captain America, and Russians have a lot of pride. And he shouldn't be an idiot.
He does have
I think why I like him is because he, to me, just shares a little bit, but he seems very similar to a Russian character in the Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies story, where, you know, just funny Russian vodka, all that more basic, simple stuff. But to me, it just seems like a really good character, and I don't know, it's just funny to me and enjoyable.
I think he would be better if he wasn't meant to be comic relief. I do think he delivered the lines with Elena really well.
Oh, he really did.
I mean, I think how he came to, like, I'm really bad at being a dad. I'm really bad. And I can feel that because I've had to tell Cameron before, like, dude, I'm really bad at this dad thing. I don't even know what I'm doing.
I almost walked out of this movie.
But I don't like the way they portray him for the most part. And I think they did a good job with him in that scene.
I almost walked out of this movie, though. About halfway through, just because I like movies that make me feel, but when I start to relate to certain things a little too much, it puts me in a place where I kind of don't want to be in, and I kind of, like, at one point I felt like I needed to take a minute to breathe, and then the movie finally calmed down a little bit so I could breathe, so I was fine for the rest of the movie. But, like, there were a few moments in there where I was like, okay, this got a little too real for me. Just because I've particularly there were moments with Bob and Yelena that I related a little too much to. Future wise for Yelena, and
I want them to get together.
Bob.
I don't think they can.
Well, Yelena is asexual, so in the comics at least. So I think she'd be more friends with people than in a relationship with anybody. And Bob is probably going to die in the next movie. So
yeah, I know.
Wait, so
let's talk about Bob for a second.
Lost his powers now?
No, he refuses to use them.
Yeah. Oh,
because he's afraid if he uses them,
locked back.
No, he's afraid if he uses them that what's going to happen is he'll get all cocky again, and like he said, he has really big moments of greatness, and then he dives into these deep moments of despair, and that he's afraid of. So he's like, I'm not going to do it. The problem, I think, with Bob, they describe him, all the interview, and they get this all wrong. I'm just going to tell you right now, all the articles, and even Marvel describes him all wrong. They're like, this is Marvel's Superman. That's what everybody calls him. He's got the S. He flies. He's all that.
Homelander.
No, he's not.
What?
He's Marvel's Neo.
Neo?
Excuse me?
The Matrix. He stops the bullets. He has the flying. He has the fighting. He has all of the skills that were implanted into him because he didn't have any of those things, and Valentina implanted all that stuff to him the same way the Matrix implants everything in the Neo. He is Marvel's Neo.
Well, yeah, except Neo never had a meth addiction, and possibly...
We don't know. Neo was a programmer who stayed up all night making programs and
what does that have to do with bipolar disorder?
Constantly searching the internet for proof of defectors,
I guess.
He doesn't have the bipolar disorder. He doesn't.
No.
But from a superhero standpoint, he's Marvel's Neo.
Like
there's every power that Neo has.
Yeah.
It's just more than everybody else has, and Sentry had all the power that nobody else had. It's like Valentina said, he's got more power than all the Avengers combined. He does, because he can do everything they can do and other stuff. And I mean, he is overpowered, and I think you're right. I think he dies. Because
Also,
what are you going to do with this guy? You don't need any other superhero in the world once you have Sentry.
I just thought of this. I could be wrong though, but using the name for a project, the Sentry Project, isn't that what they used in one of the past X-Men movies?
Sentinel.
Oh, Sentinel. Okay.
Yeah, no.
I was a little off.
I was tracking with you.
So Hyperion is Marvel's Superman. And people are saying they should, comic book fans are saying they should probably just, instead of, because there's too many Marvel's Superman-esque characters. So instead of introducing a Marvel Superman, just have Sentry take his place. Because at that point, you'd have Hyperion from space, Sentry as a kind of a Homelander Superman mix, and then, or Neo, I guess.
That's my take. Just watching it. As soon as he stopped those bullets, I was like, wait a second. This isn't their Superman. This is Neo.
Yeah.
The fighting and everything. Nobody could even land a punch. He didn't have to look. Here they come to hit him from behind, and he's like, block. That's the Neo type of stuff.
But the reason I say that is because there's a friendship between Hyperion and Thor. But at this point, you could just do that with Sentry and Thor, and it probably would be the same thing.
The only thing I could see doing is if you did Hyperion versus Sentry.
I don't need it.
Like Sentry becomes Void again, and Hyperion beats him.
But Sentry did have heat vision. He did for like a frame. They didn't do
his eyes got all like he was about to burn through stuff.
He did burn something. He did actually in the fight. I think he burned a gun. You see his eyes.
I think he heated it up. Yeah, it didn't show like a beam. Superman always shows a beam.
No, that's because heat vision wouldn't work that way.
I know it wouldn't.
But they did show it.
He also got Bucky's arm.
Just ripped it off.
Well, no, but I mean, if you noticed, it was getting hot.
That's what it was. It was Bucky's arm.
Well, he heated up Walker's gun too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was burning Walker's hand, and so he had to let go of it.
Oh yeah. So then he used heat vision twice. They just didn't call it out. But then again, they.
I would rather them not do laser heat vision.
Just
heat vision makes sense. Well, that's like a microwave.
That's what's gotten people confused about Cyclops' abilities. Is everyone thinks it's heat vision, but it's not. It's a concussive blast that comes out of his eyes.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not fire. It's literally a psychic beam being.
I thought
shot
it was lasers.
No,
I thought it was too.
Because he cuts stuff.
Yeah, because they treated it like that. Not in the comics. It's a concussive blast. When it hits it, it's like a beam that has so much force behind it that it smashes it. It doesn't actually set it on fire or cut through it. But because the movies decided,
the cartoons too. He cut stuff in the cartoons with it.
No, in the 97 cartoon he didn't. It was all they followed the rules of a concussive blast. In the
I'm pretty sure in Evolution.
Yes, in Evolution because of the 90s of the 1999 film. They in the first X-Men movie they turned it into heat vision, not a psionic blast or like a I don't remember what it is. I think it's called a concussive blast. They turned it into heat vision and had things catch fire. But that's not how his powers work at all. And so ever since then, they've treated it like laser vision. But it's because they drew it as a blast from his eyes, which it is, but it's not that kind of blast.
Oh.
So, but then ever since then, yeah, has that ability to set things on fire, but that's not how his powers work. So... Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, that's what happens when you have artists' interpretations of how things work, and then it gets confused between directors and stuff like that. So
I still can't believe that there was already so many leaks on how Sentry was going to look before the movie came out.
It didn't bother me at all.
And actually, what bothered me more was that it had the Red Hulk problem, where he's in. Actually, less than. So in the first few trailers, it didn't have that problem. They didn't actually show him at all. But then, the last trailer, they finally showed Sentry, and I'm like, why'd you do that?
Wait, they did? I thought they still only showed Void.
In the final trailer, they do show Sentry for a frame.
It didn't bother me at all. I don't care.
It made me feel like it's going to be in the movie more.
What I loved was for the first time, maybe ever, I read an article and they interviewed, and they didn't say who the actor was. They just said, and one of the actors said, they're very pleased with this movie because the trailers are misdirecting you. And you have if you're watching the trailers, you have no idea what this movie is about. And that was 100% right.
No, I guessed the movie 3 episodes ago.
No, he didn't.
Yes, I did. I said that Valentina tricked them all into a vault, and then Bucky hunts them down for some reason, and then they all get into a fight with Void.
Yeah, but you didn't call how that fight with Void went.
Oh, I didn't call that out, but then you kind of did, because even though they didn't talk him down, they kind of basically ended up.
They didn't talk him down, but they did it in a way that
in the movie where this was kind of a little bit of an issue for me, but it felt a little too therapeutic.
Preachy?
Yeah.
Kind of preachy.
Yeah.
That's like the part that I like about this movie.
I didn't.
It's strange for a Marvel movie to do.
I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to. When I said that on the episode,
yes.
I was like, if we go to another movie where it's like, hey, buddy, hey, don't do that, buddy. That's not heroic. I didn't want that. I didn't hate the way that they handled this, because what I was expecting was a Hulkish type villain, like an out of control Void. Void's turning people into shadows, which they didn't explain, and so I didn't know what was happening there.
Confused on that too.
But I didn't understand what was happening there. But I was expecting like a fight, and the fight to only end with somebody going, "Hey, buddy, I realize we can't beat you now." Blah blah blah, and that's not exactly how it went. The fact that they actually met up with Bob and they had to talk to Bob and talk Bob down, and the way that they handled it was different, and so I was okay with it.
I like that because all the characters are so messed up in their own way. They thought that the way to beat Void was to have Bob fight Void, and then they realized that
the more he fought him, the more he became him.
Yeah, that's exactly what the problem is. You're beating down the thing that you've been creating the Void in the first place by burying it and pretending like you're fine. And so when you're beating it up and you're doing that exact thing, you're still just shoving it down and making it worse and becoming the thing that you don't want to be. And so then they had to essentially, basically the whole movie is teaching Bob to love himself. And in turn, all the other characters.
Without making it stupid.
Without saying it. They didn't need to say it.
Without making a joke out of it. And that's what I told somebody today. I was having a conversation with somebody. I was like, here's the deal. I love that the way they handled it, they didn't make light of what was going on in Bob's head. They didn't make a joke out of it. And here's how we solve this is we just make Bob happy and then it's all fixed.
Right.
I would have had a problem with that. Hey, Bob, let's just be happy. That's not how you fix that. And so the way they handled it, I thought was really well done. And I've said this a bunch of times. I love the way that Disney and Marvel choose to handle grief with Wanda. Because they don't just go, well, Wanda, if you just put a smile on your face, it'll all be okay. They didn't do that with Bob, and that would have bothered me too if they had been like, Bob, you've just got to be happy, and that will get rid of the Void. I would have had a problem with that. I like the way they handled it.
I'm wondering if this movie is the reason that Doctor Strange was so different, because essentially Void and Nightmare would have been the same character. They both trap people in a nightmare realm, forcing them to deal with their issues.
That may be why they had to change it. So you don't want to do that twice.
No, you can only do it one time. And that's kind of like the weird thing is that this movie does follow the similar formulas to Marvel. That's what Marvel has to fix, is not the formula, because they can tell us the same story over and over again, but it's how you get there that needs to be different, and the character stories that you have to. It's the drama and the character interactions they have to get right. So when they don't get that right and they treat it like a joke, then the story falls apart.
Yeah, and they didn't do that.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
And they didn't do that this time. I did hear an interesting take on Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh boy,
something that I haven't. Love and Thunder and Ragnarok, and it's something that I hadn't really thought of before.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to talk about that here though. Maybe that's the save for later.
For what?
It talked about how it's actually intentional and and planned and makes sense the regression that Thor goes through from powerful god in Thor to slowly regressing to like childlike idiot by Love and Thunder, and how it has to do with grief and his loss. And I don't want to get into it because this isn't about Thor. This is about Thunderbolts. Well, no. But it was an interesting thing because we're sitting here talking about how they're treating stuff, and someone brought that up in an article talking about how Marvel is treating certain mental health things, and they were like, and if you really think about it, you may hate Thor. You may hate Thor Ragnarok and this, but it makes sense that Marvel is taking this character and regressing him the way that he acts because of what he's been through, and how they're dealing with Wanda's depression and how they're dealing with Bob's bipolar disorder. When you start to look at it as that, then you start going, okay, so what they're doing with Thor actually kind of makes sense. And then as the end of Love and Thunder happens and he has that daughter to take care of, and then he's got to grow up a little bit all over again.
Yeah, I think it was the midlife crisis thing that he goes through in a weird way.
But they're saying it's not. It is loss of mother, loss of father, yes, loss of Hammer, loss of Loki. Which caused the midlife crisis. But they're saying it was more like a regression, that you could explain him like regressing to a more childish state. Yeah. Not so much a midlife crisis, like I'm 47 years old and I would go out and go, I've lost my youth, I better go buy a motorcycle. That's a midlife crisis. Well, I've got to go get a 20-year-old girlfriend. That's a midlife crisis.
In this case, his midlife crisis would be he had the chance to grow up and be a king, and then he handed it off and then went and ran away with the Guardians to go travel across the galaxy.
To deal with all of the loss that he had dealt with. Which I really didn't want to get into this.
I know, but
we're going to do it anyway.
Either way, that's usually what a midlife crisis is.
It is an interesting take, but I'm still going to stand by that Thor level.
I don't think it was handled very well. That's the problem.
I think if you change your perspective to what they were trying to show,
I'll just have to go back and rewatch all of them because it's been a while.
It's not necessarily how they treated Thor though. It's the little things like Mjolnir being a relationship.
Yeah, those things are still stupid. I'm not addressing those. I'm just saying from the point of Thor, because I've always hated that Thor's gotten dumber. The same way that I don't like that Red Guardian is just dumb. I mean, his character is just dumb. I don't like that Thor from movie 1 to movie 4 has gotten dumber.
I would say,
but when they start to explain it that way, they're like, well, he's kind of regressing because he's losing everything. He lost the battle with Thanos. He lost his mom and dad. He lost Loki.
The difference here would be that Thor went from both somewhat intelligent, because like he was actually intelligent. Like he could have a conversation with Tony Stark about technology. Yeah. He went from being both incredibly mentally intelligent and emotionally intelligent to neither. Whereas you're saying that the Red Guardian isn't intelligent at all, but he's not. He is very emotionally intelligent, even if he's not actually intelligent.
He's really not emotionally intelligent, and he admits that in Thunderbolts. He's I'm really bad at this. I'm really bad at this.
He's bad at
being a father is what he told her.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't have emotional intelligence.
He didn't have the emotional intelligence to be there for her. That's why you didn't call me. You didn't see me. You didn't. And he's like, I'm really bad at this.
Well, that doesn't mean he doesn't know, though. He just doesn't know how to talk to her about it. There's a difference. Like, you can be emotionally intelligent and know what you're going through, but that doesn't mean that you know how to talk to me about what I'm going through.
Then I'm not very emotionally intelligent. That is emotional intelligence, is to look at you and hear you talk and understand how to relate to you. And he doesn't have that, and that's okay. He admits he doesn't have it.
That's not okay. I mean, you can understand what someone's going through and still not know how to deal with it with them. You can still know that someone is upset from looking at them. That's what emotional intelligence. You can tell. It doesn't mean you have all the answers.
Are you ready for a therapy session?
Oh my God. Okay. It doesn't matter. No. That's not my point. That's not my point.
Everyone's like, see, that dad has no emotional intelligence right now.
Okay. That's anyway, The part of this movie that I think they really, I hesitate to say fumbled, but it's weird that they put Bucky almost on like a pedestal in a weird way, but then they also kind of don't do anything with him. Like they treat him like when he shows up, like, oh, he's gonna fix everything. It's Bucky, and then he comes in, and then he's not really able to really do anything. It's Yelena's story.
It isn't his story.
It isn't his story, but that's how they kind of treat it when he enters the movie. Like when he like shows up on the car, they treat like he's like on his motorcycle. They're like, oh, it's Bucky. He's here to help. Like he's gonna be, he's gonna take charge or whatever. And then he kind of does for a few minutes, and then Sentry, kicks off, beats them up, and then it's like, oh, I don't know what to do here. And then Yelena's the one that figures it all out.
Yeah.
It was never his story. He's just a connecting character to the rest of the universe. Who are they going to bring in, if not Bucky, to connect this movie to the rest of the universe?
That is true. He is probably the one that would make the most sense, especially since the way they were teasing it recently is that they have a Disney Plus promotional thing right now where they're like, you should watch Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier before you can watch this movie, essentially. Yeah. And so he would be kind of the other character there. Because I guess originally it wasn't going to be, again, it was going to be Zemo. Zemo was going to be in the movie. So
you're going to connect him all the way back through Civil War?
Oh, gosh.
No.
I don't know.
I think the choice of Bucky was good. I don't think you had to overpower him. He's got an arm.
That's true.
Yeah, he's got an arm.
That's what it's like. I don't know if it was more of a fumble or if it was more just like, it's weird that they kind of, I guess it was a joke that he was like, he comes in and they're like, oh, yay, it's Bucky. And then like he fights them and then he recruits them and then he
he didn't recruit them, remember?
He did.
No, he didn't.
When they were
he captured all of them.
That's what I just said.
You're going to be my evidence. And then
he recruits them.
No,
because he doesn't. He's like, you're coming with me. Because
but he doesn't recruit them. The girl tells him, like, you've got to get here. This is a big problem, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, crap, you guys are here. And you seem to know who Bob is. Because he didn't know. They're like, Bob is bad. And he's like, Bob, whatever, shut up. And then the girl calls him and she's like, Bob. And he's bad. And he looks at them and he's like, Bob, and they're like, yes, Bob, because they all know it. And he's like, okay, so you know who this guy is.
That's funny.
That actually was a pretty funny interaction.
Yeah, and then
but I'm saying it wasn't really recruit. He didn't ask them like, hey, come help me with this. It was more like, I'm stuck with you, but at least you know what's going on. Let's go.
Yeah. That's still recruiting. That's still like, you're coming with me. You can deal with this. That's what he says. He's
not
like, you guys are coming with me.
Not in the same way.
It's still that's still recruiting. It's
not in the same way as what we saw in Civil War, where they were actually going and being like, you come with me, we're gonna go do this thing. Like Tony recruited Spider-Man, and who was it? Hawkeye recruited Ant-Man, and Falcon recruited Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Hey, Tic Tac.
Yeah, I'm saying there was actual recruitment there, where Bucky was more like, crap, I'm stuck with you guys. Let's go.
Someone needs to tell Anthony Mackie how many Marvel movies he's in. He thinks that he's in 9 movies, but he's only in 7 right now. He had 2 TV shows, and he factored that into his Marvel movies. I'm not joking.
2 TV shows.
Yeah, he was in What If, and he was in...
What If doesn't count.
What If don't count.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
I guess he did voice act it. But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He thinks he's in 9 movies because he's counting What If and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Let's be fair, though. Falcon and the Winter Soldier's how many episodes?
6 episodes.
6 episodes. That's like 2 movies.
It could have been a movie, but I'm saying...
It could have been 2.
But I'm saying he wasn't actually in 9 movies. He was in 7. But he's told his co-star from Brave New World that
he's in
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, Civil War. Then he's in Ant-Man, and then you follow that up with Infinity War, Endgame, and then Brave New World.
And he's also in Winter Soldier.
I said that.
I didn't hear you.
No, you didn't.
No, you said Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but he's in
I meant
Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Okay, I meant Captain America the Winter Soldier. Sorry.
He's in Winter Soldier. He's in Civil War. He's in Infinity War. Infinity War. Hold on. Infinity War. And Endgame.
Yes.
And Age of Ultron.
Yes.
And Captain
Ant-Man.
America, his Captain America, Brave New World,
And Ant-Man.
and Ant-Man.
That's 7 movies. That's it. That's all he's in. He has not made any other appearances in a movie.
He wasn't one of the people in Shang-Chi?
No.
Okay.
That's it. He's only in 7 movies.
Okay. Well, 6 hours of his show.
I guess if you want to say he's in Secret Wars and Doomsday, he's in 9 movies, but he hasn't been in them yet because they're not made.
Well,
that
6
actually
hours
could
of his
just be
show is
him
like 2
saying that
movies.
he is in 9 movies, saying that, oh yeah, I'm in Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Well, he said that before Doomsday was announced.
We're assuming he doesn't
yeah.
die in Doomsday anyway.
So that's why I'm like, someone needs to tell him how many movies he's actually in.
What if they'll have Terrence Howard
if they do
and
kill
Don
him off
Cheadle
in Doomsday, who then is going to take the mantle of Captain America? Because it's not going to be Bucky. What, they're
he's
gonna
coming
Or it could
back.
be
back.
Bucky, actually.
No,
Bucky
they'll
doesn't-
bring Chris Evans back.
I was going to say, Bucky does not want to take the mantle at all.
If what's his name dies, if Sam dies, right? And
Chris Evans.
and Steve is effectively dead and he doesn't return.
He's
then
coming
yes,
back.
Bucky. It doesn't matter. But it's rumored that he's coming back as his version
No,
of
3 or 4 versions.
Oh,
they're
well-
having play 3 to 4 different versions of Captain America.
or
One being
different.
Captain America.
No,
One being
he's
Captain
not
Hydra.
coming back as 4 different. He might come back as Human Torch and then also
No.
3 versions of.
No, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are both supposed to come back as like 3 versions of their original selves.
We'll see.
That's
That's a rumor. And
I wonder if
and
we're
also Tom
superior
Cruise is
Iron
coming
Man.
in as one Iron Man also, and I think he's coming in as the superior Iron Man.
I hope
Tom
I
so.
Cruise.
swore I've seen fan art of that too, and it looks pretty good.
It does look pretty good.
Anywho,
All that to say,
if they needed a new Captain America to lead and Chris Evans and Sam are dead, then Bucky would definitely pick up the shield. He has in the comics.
I don't know. It could
Okay,
be the
but
kid.
that
It could be the kid from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I doubt Marvel.
Isaiah's
will do that, though.
grandson.
No, I think they would because
It could be
Who else would you
Okay, but
replace
how
him
many
with?
times
Isaiah's
have they-
grandson. I just said it.
They wouldn't replace him with him.
He's the Patriot.
It doesn't matter.
Patriot.
Don't.
Isaiah's grandson.
Isaiah's
from
grandson.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That
Yeah.
does
Is the
not matter.
Patriot in the comics.
Who's the Patriot?
A follow-up Captain America.
Oh,
A nobody.
A follow-up.
Don't
Captain
worry
America.
about it. No, he's a nobody. Don't worry about it. He will probably never be addressed
okay.
again.
He'll be like that kid from Iron Man 3 that shows up in Endgame for no reason.
Yes, he'll show up at Sam's funeral and then everyone will forget about him and be like, whoa, who's that guy? Why is he there?
but no, I still don't think Marvel will make that decision to have Bucky be Captain America if Steve and Sam, like all variants, die in Doomsday, because we already know they're really not good at doing comic accurate stuff.
They have already a ton.
Loosely.
No, like directly ripped some things out of the comics recently. They've gotten way better about comic accuracy recently than they were like 4
Well,
years ago.
hopefully they're comic accurately going to reset everything.
Hawkeye
from the
is
beginning.
literally almost panel for panel the Hawkeye storyline from 2016.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. They're not. They're getting better at
I
comic
hope,
book
I hope
accuracy.
they comically, accurately reset the whole thing and start over.
They never
That would
did.
be
They have
fantastic.
never done that.
That would be fantastic.
I would love them to, but they've never done that in the comics.
Closest thing that happens
That's
to
why I
reset the
wish
Marvel Universe was
Star
Secret
Wars
Wars.
would get reset at this point.
Yes, shoving 2 universes timelines together was a reset.
That's the closest thing, is what I said, to a reset, and they should do that.
Literally, the only character storyline they
Give all
reset was Miles Morales.
Give all the stories back. Give us Iron Man back, so we're not looking for Ironheart. Give us Captain America back, so that we can have Sam Wilson as the Falcon, not as Captain America.
It,
Give us T'Challa back, because
what do you?
who
What
wants
Secret
this- who
Wars
wants this
wasn't to
crap?
give Steve his shield back. It was to give Sam the official Captain America role.
They already did it.
And then when Steve came back, he was a villain. He wasn't a hero.
Well, they can merge those and reset everything. That would be great. That's all I want. I want my Captain
They
America
actually
Iron Man
probably could
stories.
do that Mortal Kombat style,
Do not.
where they basically merged
Stop.
10 and 11, and then 10 and 11, and then
Perfect.
you know,
Let's do
and
it.
then it resets completely.
I do not.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat 1 as a plotline.
Final thoughts on Thunderbolts.
I like
And actually being renamed the New Avengers. I don't know if you saw this. I know Cameron saw it, but Sebastian Stan was actually going around LA replacing movie posters that said Thunderbolts with movie posters that said the New Avengers.
Really?
And this was an interesting take. It actually has been officially renamed the New Avengers. It is not Thunderbolts anymore.
So if you go to search up Thunderbolts, it probably won't pop up.
No, it'll still pop up. It'll still pop up because there's always historical on the internet.
Yeah,
but it's been relisted as the New Avengers, and this was an interesting thing I thought, because as a standalone Thunderbolts movie, the movie cost $180 million to make. They made $162 million in the first weekend, so they almost made their money back, and it looks like a great success. But when you turn it into an Avengers movie, that's a terrible opening weekend, crap performance, worst Avengers movie that's ever been made.
Yeah.
So maybe from a dollar's perspective, so maybe that Avengers branding wasn't a good marketing idea after all.
I don't think it was a good marketing idea 3 days after the movie came out. Even when Birds of Prey or the what was it? The Emancipation of Harley Quinn. Even when they renamed the movie Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, they knew to wait like a month before doing that. They didn't do that right away.
Still didn't do any good.
It didn't do any good, but I'm saying like doing that 3 days later, you've spoiled the whole joke of the movie.
For anybody who didn't go on opening weekend, which is why we always try to go opening weekend.
Exactly. You've spoiled the whole thing for everyone, because the whole point of the movie was obviously the new Avengers. So now anyone who was like, oh, I'm going to go when, the audience dies down, they're kind of spoiled on how the movie ends in some way. So it's like, okay, well, that sucks.
This kind of makes me think of... because I liked Age of Ultron, and then you told me that they were going to use the comic accurate version of Ultron, but then changed it last minute.
They didn't change it last minute. They just changed it.
Well,
in the original promo trailer, they used Ultron's comic book head. And then in the movie, obviously, they used James Spader's face for mocap to animate the mouth and eyes like it was a human being.
I mean, end of the day, the biggest problem with Age of Ultron was it wasn't an age; it was days. It should have been called Avengers Days of Ultron.
Movie.
I didn't say it wasn't. I'm saying when you have an event as big as Age of Ultron, and Cameron knows where I'm coming from this. If you watch the cartoons, which are not canon, I get it, but there's a series of cartoons called the Young Avengers. And
what? The movie?
No, yeah, two movies.
It's one movie. It's one movie. It's called the Next Avengers, not the
Next Avengers. That's what it is,
and it's one movie.
No, and the whole thing is Ultron's taken over the world, and there's just a resistance. But that's like an age. So I say this that's an age of Ultron. Like it's generationally different. Tony Stark is an old man. Hulk is an old man with a beard down to his knees. I mean, it's generationally Ultron took over. That is an age of Ultron. The movie happens across a week. Is it even a week?
It should have probably been the birth of Ultron.
It should have been called the Days of Ultron, not the Age of Ultron.
I would have hated that title. It should have been like the birth of Ultron or the rise of Ultron or something like that.
It couldn't be the rise because he was only around for 7 days. And they effectively, even though I know they're planning on bringing him back now, they effectively killed him.
You would call it the rise of Ultron, not the fall of Ultron, because Ultron would be introduced and then die at the end of this movie. So he would rise, but then he'd eventually fall. But you wouldn't call it the rise and fall of Ultron because you'd spoil the ending. And you wouldn't call it the fall of Ultron because why would you do that?
Which is why you would call it the Days of Ultron.
I think they should have done a 2-part Ultron movie.
It should have been at least 2 parts.
And then also do the title like they did with some of the Clone Wars episodes where you had like Storm over Ryloth and then the other Ryloth episode, and then
Ultron should have been an event with things in between it, with impact to characters in between it.
There's not enough.
And then it could have been Rise of Ultron. Age of Ultron would have been fine, but it could have been Rise of Ultron. That's fine. if there was an Ultron taking over the world the way that Thanos effectively destroyed the world by reducing half the population.
Yeah.
There could have been a great Ultron Tron type story there.
Now that I think about it, I think I would have liked to see that Ultron What If episode if they did that into movie or movies or just an expanded TV series.
My problem with that idea at the time, you have to remember, there's not enough characters. And B, you'd be introducing character, because Daredevil and all the other characters are supposed to be canon at this point before they went and tried to make them not canon before they decided to go back and recanonize them. The problem with that,
excellent.
The problem would be that you are effectively tying these writers down to an event that they didn't plan for. So now these characters have to be introduced with Ultron as well as having to tell their backstories. And that's way too much going on at once.
That would have been excellent.
That would have been way too much. No,
Daredevil season
2, if you wanted to do that.
Could have been a great Ultron mid Ultron arc story. Daredevil season 2. Actually, Defenders. Not even Daredevil.
Age of Ultron setting.
Defenders as a citywide effect of Ultron taking over the world would have been a great story. Street level.
And then at the end, they go to join up with the Avengers.
I think that would have worked better for maybe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if it was like an arc in Agents of
S.H.I.E.L.D. would have been great.
Similar to how they treated Winter Soldier as an event for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was a 3-episode arc for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. With Winter Soldier. If they had done something similar, maybe they could have done like an Age of Ultron arc. But instead, what they did with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that the helicarrier that Nick Fury receives at the end was repaired by the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and sent off by Coulson.
This is the problem with Marvel TV, and this could fix it. I'm not even joking. Instead of trying to make Marvel TV seasons, they could take Marvel TV miniseries and drop them between movies, and that's where Defenders would have fit. Making a Defenders miniseries between Ultron 1 and Ultron 2 would work. Making a Hawkeye, making whatever between Infinity War. You wanted to see what happens with Hawkeye that makes him go. Ronan.
I wanted to see
the Ronan story.
I wanted to see a John Wick style Ronan story.
A mini series, not a season 1, possibly season 2, but we'll cancel it. Blah 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 blah. Just a Hawkeye mini series called Ronan. Those kind of things peppered in between the movies, planned intentionally to go between the movies, would be better than going, hey, this is Daredevil season 1, and we're going to try to figure out how to make it fit like right after the attack of New York, but right before Winter Soldier. Don't do that. Don't do that. What you do is just make miniseries that dump in between these big event movies, and you can make all the miniseries you want, 6 hours of TV, that fill in the gaps that you wish you had. Like Endgame, make a miniseries, Captain America returning the stones.
I feel like miniseries in between movies that would help connect things a whole lot better.
Versus hoping you squeeze it like, we've got 8 episodes and this movie just came out. Maybe we can make the 7th episode reference the movie and now it fits. Don't do that. Make miniseries.
I could see a world where that might work, but I also would prefer to still have a show. I still want, like, Daredevil should be its own. He has way too many things that happen to him.
But think about that for a second, what you're saying.
Okay.
Daredevil is supposedly happening right now in the middle of what just happened with the Void.
No, it happened before.
No.
It leads into, but the
Daredevil season 2 happens in the middle of that Void thing.
After.
Why? It happens immediately after Daredevil season 1.
Yes.
There's no time gap.
But this movie doesn't take place over the course of months or weeks. It takes place over one single day at the end of a day. So it doesn't.
That's also another problem. I hate
that's not even possible.
That's literally how the movie. What do you mean that's
time doesn't work that way? They were in Nevada in a desert, Utah. Sorry, they were in Utah in a desert, and then back in New York City.
So then 2 days.
Time doesn't work that way.
2 days. The movie takes place over the course of 2 days.
And also, where was Yelena when she set off the bomb? She was in Southeast Asia. The movie takes place over 2 weeks.
She flew from. Oh no!
You've got to set up the whole thing.
She
didn't fly over there and just.
No. She literally flew.
She had to scout the building.
She flew to Nevada. She came back. No, she flew to. Where did she fly to? She was in Malaysia in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
She flies back, which takes 19 maybe.
Where did she meet up with him? New York.
No, who?
Her dad.
No.
Where was he? Ohio?
DC.
DC?
It had to be DC because he was driving Dreyfus in DC.
What?
Yes, when Valentina is driving from an event in DC in the limousine so he has to live in DC.
Okay, so she flew from Malaysia to Washington D.C.
Yes, and then she flies to Nevada.
And then they fly to Utah.
They thought it was Nevada.
I said it's either Nevada or Utah.
Okay, so they fly to the southwest. Yes.
Yeah.
And then
they fly back to New York. No, they don't. They drive
back. So 24 hours. So okay,
so 2 days.
So essentially 2 days.
A car that only goes 54 miles.
And then they go from morning to midday for the final scene. So 3 days overall.
And then they're back to AvengerZ Tower
in 3 days
in New York City.
Yes, 3 days.
I thought that was 2 weeks after.
No, 3 days. What? Oh, the end of the movie?
Well, I was talking about the end credit scene.
Yes, the post credit scene. Yeah, the post credit scene is 2 weeks later, but the actual movie is 3 days. If you want to calculate flight time,
I still feel like
drive time.
Okay, so then too short. So then you got the letdown of if Daredevil season 2 doesn't address the void thing happening for 1 day.
I guess, yeah, for not even a day, for like a total of
address it
2 hours.
Oh.
I still feel like they should somehow interconnect with each other.
It doesn't have to. It could take place the week after. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that's going to be happening in season 2 because of Kingpin. The only issue that I have is Kingpin took over New York and nobody's talking about it.
Right. That is my point.
Like
that is my point. So we have the New Avengers taking on the Void in a city that's on complete lockdown by Kingpin.
Yeah, they're not allowed to. No vigilantes are allowed to roam around New York. But suddenly, these heroes are allowed to come in, be praised, be put on Wheaties boxes,
and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they're allowed to be promoted and whatever. And
that's why I'm saying they don't connect well. And I think if you did miniseries instead of relying on season-driven shows,
and the anti-vigilante force would be active at this point too. So that's like insane.
And your season-driven shows like Daredevil, if you want to do a Daredevil season-driven show, you don't reference a time period that it falls into. Only if you choose to do a Daredevil miniseries in between an Ultron or a Endgame.
Actually, what's crazier is that Valentina would not only be indicted in Washington, D.C. for what she was doing to humans for human experimentation, but in New York, if that anti-vigilante law was passed, then she would also be indicted for supposedly because she creates a new Avengers in the middle of the street, allowing a vigilante force of her own to exist and operate in New York City.
Right. So again, bad connections.
Give them like governmental protection though?
No, because she did it with her own company. She didn't do it with the government.
She did it with Oxcorp.
She did it with
OX, not OZ.
Before she,
I was say that they just ripped off Oscorp, didn't they?
I don't know.
They're not allowed to use Oscorp because it's a Spider-Man property.
Yeah, there was actually a rumor that the original owner of But see, the thing is Kevin Feige said this never changed in an interview. The owner never changed, but there were rumors that Norman Osborn from the Raimi universe was the owner of the new Avengers building.
I don't know.
That was back when No Way Home was being discussed.
I hate that Valentina, whatever her name is, It's a weird, confusing Russian name.
Her name is Valentina. I don't know her whole name.
I feel like
German.
that's a stab in the back to the Avengers that she bought the
That was the
Avengers
point.
Tower.
That was the point.
I like that. That was the point. I love that she was also had a showroom of like replicas and stuff from the Avengers, because even though she like hates, I think she's supposed to hate them, but also wants to create a version, not even a version of her own, a superhero. It's basically the plot of The Boys. She wants her own heroes to maintain, but she also doesn't like the Avengers.
She wants the United States at this point to be reliant on her to protect them by having her own team of heroes.
So she's just General Ross Light.
Well, not even General Ross. She is the Boys. She was the Boys where they were trying to.
Yes, yeah.
She's sounding like the guy from Iron Man 2 that tried to get Tony Stark to relinquish the Iron Man suit to the government.
Yeah, kind of, yes, but not really, because did you watch The Boys?
No, I've never watched
In The Boys, they basically try to leverage some congressperson or senator, I can't remember if it was Senator Congress,
I think it was Senator,
to complement the U.S. military with Vought superheroes. And Vought is the company that creates superheroes. So they're saying, look, you'll have your military, but when you really need help, you can hire our superheroes to come in and help you. And that's kind of what she was doing, was trying to say, I want my own team so that I can tell the U.S. government we'll protect you.
Yeah, no, she is basically Justin Hammer.
Yeah, she was trying to sell superheroes to the government, basically.
And Justin Hammer didn't actually have any heroes, and she does.
Oh, yeah. Well, nope, she actually didn't either. The whole reason she was being investigated is because
had their test subjects get killed.
Except she had one succeed.
Actually, Justin Hammer didn't have that guy get killed. He even says it. He's like, that guy's still alive, by the way.
No, he's dead. that suit did a full 180. His spine is twisted in half.
His spine broke.
All right. That test pilot survived, by the way. Just want that on the record.
No, he didn't. Anyway, it was, in my opinion, let's knock out opinions real quick. In my opinion, this movie was really good. It was a break from the nonsensical. I mean, there is the superhero piece of it, but it was a break from the nonsensical superhero stuff. It tackled some heavy topics. I liked it. And it still gave us that superhero feeling, good feeling at the end without being tacky about.
I will say I do like this just a little bit more than Captain America: Brave New World.
Oh, I liked it way better.
It wasn't
way better.
as rushed. Like they didn't rush through it as quick as Brave New World
had
did.
A plan. You could tell they had a plan.
But I still like the Eternals better than these last two movies.
Really?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I think personally, right now, my list goes something like, if for anything after Endgame, for this phase 4 through 6, my current list would probably go something like Guardians Volume 3.
Gross.
Which I still haven't seen.
You'll love it. Guardians Volume 3. Thunderbolts would go 2. Spider-Man No Way Home would probably take the number 3 spot. Then I would probably go, I want to say Eternals. And then Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange, and then dead last would probably be Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay,
and
you already missed a movie that goes way above half of those.
What?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi's a good.
Shang-Chi was a
fifth place.
Wait, did you say Wakanda Forever?
Wait,
Shang-Chi's better than Black Panther 2, and it's not close.
I still haven't seen Shang-Chi.
Let me redo that. Guardians.
See, he forgot Shang-Chi because Shang-Chi is a great movie.
Guardians. Actually, I wouldn't even put I was putting Spider-Man that high. I wouldn't even put Spider-Man that high.
I was going to say, I thought you didn't really like No Way Home.
I was trying to compare it to all the movies because we have had a drought of good movies with Marvel lately. So, yeah, if actually I would probably go top 3. I was being generous. I was being way too generous. Yeah, hold on. It would go what's it called? I said it already. Guardians 3. This movie, Thunderbolts. Then, actually, I think Black Panther 2 would go higher for me. It was really good, and I really do love the tribute to Chadwick Boseman. Then
Wakanda Forever was a good movie. I did like it.
Yep. And then Eternal, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and then Thor: Love and Thunder, Quantumania.
Oh, I still haven't watched Quantumania either.
Quantumania is better than Love and Thunder.
I would put Brave New World under something like it.
Brave New World is better than Quantumania.
It would go under Shang-Chi.
Multiverse of Madness and Thor: Love and Thunder are like tied at dead last.
No
I really
way.
did not like those two at all.
Which one? Wait.
Multiverse of Madness?
Multiverse of Madness and Love and Thunder are tied at dead last.
Yeah, I would say Spider-Man goes above Multiverse of Madness.
Granted, I got to go see Multiverse of Madness for free because I have a cool cousin that works at a movie theater, but it still wasn't that great, and it really wasn't worth it.
I just want to say, yeah, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, the whole WandaVision stuff, it wasn't bad, but it didn't pay off as much as I would have loved.
I was about to say, I probably should have really tried to watch WandaVision before I watched Multiverse of Madness.
It was the whole multiverse, the whole early multiverse stuff felt very unplanned. Like they didn't really know where they wanted it to go, but they knew they wanted it to get to Kang somehow. And I feel like that was really stupid. They should have really planned for Kang better. So then when they were just messing with multiverse stuff, it wasn't very well done.
Why does Marvel always have to choose actors that, are going to end up leading to new big projects, and then something happens and then they just have to scrap what they were working on to try and push out something?
They really only did that once.
Steven Yeun.
No, Steven Yeun, they were going to have be Sentry. And I honestly, after seeing Lewis Pullman as Sentry, I don't know how he would have done that. He's just not that guy.
And King.
Huh?
And King.
They completely
You said they only did it once.
scrapped King Dynasty.
Oh, well, they didn't scrap this movie. This movie's the same. They were just going to have a different actor play him. But
He didn't say scrap movies. He said, why did they start with an actor and then...
Oh, well, in this case, it was because Steven Yeun was too busy.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens all the time.
End of the day, this was a great movie. It was a great change of pace. It looked like Marvel actually followed up on what Kevin Feige said, where he said, look, we've created too much homework for people, and we just want to make good movies. We're going to start making movies that don't require so much homework because then people don't enjoy the movies so much.
I will say I do hate how long it is for them to make something that is going to connect back to Loki. Because I know that's Doomsday, but there's still another year, 2 years.
Yeah, it's next May.
Oh yeah, it is.
I don't think the homework was the problem. I think the
Oh,
problem was that there was too much, because you still have to do homework. There's characters that you still have to go back to early MCU stuff. That homework wasn't the problem. It was the fact you were releasing 10 projects a year and everyone had to go watch them to follow the next project. But
that's what he's saying. You're creating homework. It doesn't seem fun.
Yeah.
When Doomsday's coming, so I've got to watch the next and try to catch every little thing because I won't know what's going on in Doomsday if I don't watch every single movie, and that's not fun. And he was like, we want to create fun.
Yeah.
And we want people to enjoy the movies. And yes, we want you to follow it, but we don't want you to feel like I have to be there even though it sucks. So he said he's committed to making movies that are more fun and you can still follow along.
Yeah, they still should be easy to, because that's also been the problem, is that some of them are hard to follow along just because the characters don't appear for so long.
So
yeah.
Also, I just thought of something. This is just an idea because it's questions that have always happened ever since GTA 6 is released, but it's also been turned into a meme at this point. But we should do a question, because I just realized that this basically runs perfectly against each other. But Rockstar and Marvel are basically at a race right now. Will we get GTA 6 before Avengers or the other way around?
No, we're getting Avengers before GTA 6.
GTA 6 is not going to come out until Christmas next year.
They have a set date.
No, GTA 6 is coming out in May next year. It's May 26th.
Yeah, I know what the release date is.
Yeah.
GTA 6 is not coming out before Christmas. Black Friday is when it'll come out.
Doom.
I'll bet you. I will bet you anything. They pushed the release date back to November. Well, for the very reason that you said, and not what you said. Not that I think you're wrong, but you're right about holiday releases on things. And it doesn't make any sense to release a video game in May when the greatest video game sales, sans Madden, because Madden is an anomaly. But outside of Madden, the greatest video game sales happen at Black Friday timing. That is the highest sales of video games. Madden's a different story. Blows the gates out in July because football season.
I also feel like just movie sales do better because I know like all of the Godzilla movies have released anywhere between like March and May. So like you have a spring to summer release, and almost every movie that has followed that pattern has done really well, but it also just depends on the movie and who's making them.
The May release probably doesn't matter because if they get to Black Friday, if they have a plan, because they haven't talked about GTA Online for GTA 6, if they get to, because you have to pay for it.
Right.
They may do a bundle.
You're right. You didn't have to do that with GTA 5.
You're right.
What?
Online. It came with GTA 5 when they first released it.
Did it?
Yeah. You had story mode and online. It's just whenever they did the upgraded version for like next gen consoles and whatnot, they separated it for whatever whatever reason, then upcharged it.
They might do that again though.
I hope not, because Nintendo's already said it.
In that case, they could come out in May and then do a paid version.
Yeah, that's
at Black Friday.
Yeah, so
that's a deal. You're right,
but it's also GTA 6. It's going to make all the money in the world just for existing.
I mean, there is some fairness to that, but there's something to be said for specific release times. It's like why movies release typically on Fridays, except on a holiday weekend, and then they release on Thursday. And yes, I know we go to the previews on Thursday. There's a preview on Wednesday, but the release date is Friday, and there's a reason for that.
There's a preview on Wednesday on
a holiday weekend where we see a Thursday preview on a holiday weekend. Thursday's the opening, and Wednesday's the preview.
True.
Because they want to get in that extra day on that holiday box office.
But that's why we'll be getting Avengers before GTA 6. Because it's already got a set release date at the beginning of May. It's not coming.
Doomsday does?
May 5th or 6th or something.
It's already it's already coming out before GTA 6.
Okay, well, scrap that then.
Yeah.
I also just thought of another thing because we were talking about other stuff. I'll probably have you help me figure out how to do it, but if you're fine with it, I do want to post a reaction for Doom the Dark Ages because that comes out next Friday.
Let's do it.
Doom the Dark.
I want more content. We need more content. Period.
I have not followed Doom mostly at all, so I probably won't participate in this one.
I'll
do a solo shot.
I'll have Duncan quickly explain stuff to me within like the next week after I play it. But yeah, what the?
All right.
So, and on our last episode, Fortnite's going well.
No, it's not.
Fortnite's trash.
It's great.
But
it's not trash, but it's broken.
The Iron Man suits that came out in Fortnite were sweet.
They came out a while ago.
The Iron Legion set came out way earlier this year.
First I saw it, and it was great.
It was okay.
I'm ready for that.
I don't buy skins, and he knows it, but I almost bought those Iron Legion skins.
I wanted to buy the Iron Legion skin, and it came back again, but it's like, before I get paid, so I was like, okay, Fortnite, you're screwing up with releases for different skin bundles.
It'll be back again.
It'll be back at some point.
Everything always returns.
So, there was a Doom style, too. I think that's why.
I saw it. They're going. That's why
I wanted it.
So, all right, guys.
Play as Dr. Doom Iron Man.
No, I don't. Well, if you like what you've heard today, this is our review of Thunderbolts The New Avengers. Like, share, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, answer the poll, whatever. We love the communication and look forward to interacting with you in the future. And for that,
Where's Bob?
What?
Oh my god.
Yeah, where's Bob?
Oh my God. Okay. Bye.